Let's get real for a moment. Maturing beautifully doesn't require abandoning your personal flair. It doesn't mean retreating into safe neutrals, holding on to fashion fossils, or maintaining that exact same cut you've been requesting since your kids were still carrying pagers, maybe longer. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Some haircuts, while absolutely iconic in their heyday, couldn't keep up with the times. They didn't just get old, they went stale. What caused double takes in the mid-'80s now just causes your grandkids to tilt their heads slightly, trying to place what decade they're looking at. And trust me, when they chirp, "That's pretty, Gran," bless their hearts, they're being kind. But internally, even they recognize that particular style has earned its gold watch and peaceful exit. Now, if you're a woman over 60, smart, classy, full of vitality, and completely uninterested in fading into background scenery, it's time for some straight talk. Because style isn't the property of the young. Style belongs to the confident, the experienced, the women who've lived enough to understand what genuinely works and what genuinely fails. And yes, quality wine ages magnificently, but some hairstyles just spoil. Today, we're exposing 6 haircuts that honestly aren't doing us justice anymore. But relax. We're not just pointing out problems. We're offering solutions. I'll be sharing what to choose instead. Cuts that lift, complement, and reveal the energetic, modern, effortless beauty you still radiate every day. If you're someone who believes elegance is timeless, who still enjoys turning heads, just with greater sophistication, you're exactly where you need to be. So, if that speaks to you, hit that subscribe button. We have so much more timeless style guidance, confidence inspiration, and beauty expertise created just for you. Now, let's get started. Haircut 1. The shellacked sphere. Frozen in the past, not forward thinking you've seen it everywhere. That tightly wound, aggressively sprayed, perfectly spherical style that wouldn't budge in a hurricane. This was the reliable choice for generations, the steadfast companion at church gatherings, card games, and literally every photograph snapped between the mid-'70s and mid-'90s. But here's the reality. This look was never designed for fluidity or delicacy. It was engineered for dominance. And while that approach might have succeeded during an era when style guidelines were more rigid than modern TSA protocols, today it appears less refined and more permanently lacquered. Here's the thing. Volume itself isn't the enemy. Volume is wonderful. The culprit is inflexibility. This particular style can make even the most dynamic woman appear as though she hasn't refreshed her appearance since the last discount perm special at the neighborhood salon. It piles on extra years, prevents light from illuminating your features, and most critically, it robs you of the inherent grace that flows from softness and natural movement. So, what's the contemporary solution? Pursue a soft, textured bob with strategic layers. Request that your stylist create a cut that brushes your chin or hovers just beneath it, with wispy ends that complement your facial structure. Even minimal movement makes a tremendous difference. It injects vitality, highlights your bone structure, and feels significantly lighter in both appearance and reality. And here's an insider tip. You can absolutely maintain volume without the industrial-strength spray. A barrel brush, quality blow-dry technique, and lightweight styling cream become your essential tools. Make it feel natural, maintain that elegance, and release the armor. You're not preparing for battle. You're heading to lunch with friends. Haircut 2. The severe crop, when easy, becomes too extreme. Now let's address the drastically short-clipped style that certain hairdressers promote as the ultimate low-effort option for mature clients. You recognize it instantly. Trimmed tight against the head, minimal fringe if any, zero softness, zero dimension. It's the cut you're promised will elevate your features, yet frequently achieves precisely the reverse, creating harshness instead. Let's establish this clearly. Short hair can look absolutely magnificent. A properly crafted pixie, sophisticated, bold, self-assured. But the issue isn't brevity itself, it's ruthlessly short hair. Hair that eliminates all facial framing, emphasizes every line rather than working harmoniously with your features, and provides nothing visually engaging. It feels less like a rejuvenation and more like preparation for boot camp. Many women gravitate toward this ultra-minimal cut-seeking convenience. They're exhausted by the styling tools, the brushes, the daily effort. That's completely understandable, but low maintenance shouldn't translate to style-free. So what works better? Consider a gently layered pixie alternative, something feminine featuring extended top layers and modest volume at the crown. A side-swept fringe or subtle wave near the forehead performs miracles in softening your jawline and introducing that element of graceful flow. You're not attempting to reverse decades. You're targeting polished, self-assured, and naturally put together. And let's acknowledge this. The perfect earrings paired with a refined pixie? Absolutely stunning. So if brevity calls to you, absolutely embrace it. Just embrace it with dimension, purpose, and a touch of playfulness, because you've traveled too far in life to simply disappear into the scenery. Haircut 3. The endless, lifeless lengths, clinging when you should release. Ah yes, I've maintained this exact hair since my 30s appearance. Extended, flat, stretching well beyond the shoulders and desperately holding on. This style typically emerges when we've developed emotional attachments to bygone eras, sometimes quite literally. There's security in lengthy hair. It registers as recognizable, womanly, like we're still in the game. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Length by itself doesn't create beauty. Actually, when it's thinning, irregular, or simply drooping there like window dressing, it can betray your intentions entirely. Hair without structure weighs the face downward, emphasizes any loosening along the jaw, and saps vitality from your entire presentation. It can render even radiant, healthy complexions exhausted-looking because the hairstyle itself broadcasts fatigue. Before alarm sets in, this isn't a demand to eliminate everything, but it is a wake-up call to stop equating length with youthfulness. What generates a youthful impression isn't how long your hair extends, it's the vitality within it. So what's the solution? If longer styles speak to you, target a collarbone skimming cut with layers, or embrace the contemporary long bob. Incorporate gentle waves or crown volume to lift your features and deliver that fresh, deliberate aesthetic. If thinning has occurred, which is entirely normal, smart layering combined with quality products, volumizing foam, texture sprays, can manufacture the impression of fullness without creating weight. Bonus benefit: this length coordinates beautifully with accessories, necklaces, and tailored necklines. It communicates, I understand myself, and I still prioritize appearance. So no, complete elimination isn't required. Simply give it intention. Give it life. And most essentially, give it a cut that supports your current reality. Haircut 4. The blunt bangs, creating barriers rather than frames. This might generate some pushback, but it needs addressing. Thick, heavy bangs sliced straight across the forehead, as if measured with a straight edge, represent one of those styles that appear to promise rejuvenation. After all, bangs can camouflage forehead creases, correct? Technically, yes. But at what price? Heavy-cut bangs frequently cause more damage than benefit, particularly on mature faces. Rather than softening your appearance, they create a severe horizontal line across your face, quite literally. They can compress facial proportions, reduce eye size, and depending on density, they might resemble something borrowed from a vintage toy collection circa the early 60s. Additionally, unless you're scheduling trims bi-weekly and greeting each morning with a straightening iron ready, these bangs rapidly transition from fashion statement to daily challenge. The reality: bangs can absolutely flatter at any stage, but they require harmony with your face rather than opposition. So what's superior? Experiment with delicate side-angled bangs or elongated curtain-style framing. These gently border your face, emphasize the eyes, and can actually accentuate cheekbones without bisecting your face. They also integrate seamlessly into layered styles, contributing softness and structure while maintaining sophistication. Additional advantage: they mature gracefully. No awkward transitional periods. No anxiety about missed appointments. So if your bangs possess sufficient density to obstruct your vision entirely, reconsideration might be warranted. There's absolutely a method to achieve style, modernity, and grace with bangs without resembling your decades-old graduation photograph. Haircut 5. The over-engineered style. Rigid, sprayed, and suspiciously static. Let's discuss hair that refuses to move. Not because it's naturally streamlined or silky, but because it's been backcombed, set, sprayed, and crystallized in time, as though preparing for a magazine spread from the mid-'80s. You recognize it immediately: impeccably curled ends that shift not with organic movement, but because they're locked in chemical cement. A style appearing identical every single day, right down to each precisely positioned strand. And while consistency has merit, excessively engineered hair doesn't communicate elegance. It broadcasts obsolescence. In reality, hair that's too rigid or too manufactured can produce the inverse of your desired effect. Rather than appearing refined, it seems rehearsed. Rather than natural, it looks laborious. And instead of enhancing your features or amplifying your radiance, it resembles a historical display, meticulously maintained yet devoid of life. Now don't misunderstand. Moderate styling is perfectly fine. A professional blow-dry, some curl, reasonable control, delightful. But contemporary beauty centers on softness, movement, and genuineness. Styles suggesting you emerged looking beautiful, not that you wrestled your hair into compliance. So, what's the modern approach? Choose a gentle, current blow-dry or naturally air-dried waves enhanced with light texturizing mist rather than industrial hairspray. Welcome some organic movement. Allow several strands to fall freely. Let your hair exist naturally. Your hair doesn't require architectural reinforcement to appear elegant. It needs to move authentically with your current self, a woman who's experienced life, accumulated wisdom, and owes explanations to absolutely nobody. So proceed. Abandon the antiquated routines and the concrete curls. You're not screen testing for an 80s hair product advertisement. You're living presently, and your hair should accompany you. Haircut 6. The shapeless shag. When layers lose their way. Let's address the final offender. The disconnected, chaotic shag that's all choppy layers and zero cohesion. Now, a proper shag cut can be absolutely gorgeous, textured, dimensional, full of personality. But what we're discussing here is the shag gone wrong. Uneven chunks that don't blend, layers that start and stop randomly, and an overall impression of someone who cut their own hair with kitchen scissors during a particularly bold moment. This style often happens when someone requests lots of layers, without understanding how those layers should actually work together. The result? Hair that looks fragmented rather than flowing, disorganized rather than artfully tousled. It can appear unkempt even immediately after leaving the salon. And worse, it can actually make thinning hair look even thinner by creating visible gaps and uneven density. The problem isn't texture or layers themselves, it's the lack of intentional structure. Random, choppy pieces don't create youthful movement, they create visual confusion. And on mature hair, which often has varying textures and thickness throughout, this approach can emphasize problem areas rather than camouflaging them. So what's the refined alternative? Request a graduated layered cut with purposeful blending. Your stylist should create layers that transition smoothly from one length to another, with each layer serving a specific purpose, whether that's adding volume at the crown, creating face-framing softness, or generating movement at the ends. The key distinction: strategic layers versus random chopping. Well-placed layers can make hair appear fuller, more dynamic, and contemporary without sacrificing sophistication. They should work with your hair's natural texture and growth patterns, not against them. And here's the secret. A truly skilled cut requires minimal styling to look intentional. If you're fighting with your hair every morning trying to make those layers behave, that's a sign the cut itself isn't working for you. So, if your current style looks more chaotic than chic, more haphazard than happening, it might be time to seek out a stylist who understands how to create structured texture, layers that have meaning, purpose, and most importantly, work together to frame your face beautifully. So there you have it. 6 haircuts that might have served their purpose once upon a time, but honestly aren't serving you well today. And here's what matters most. This conversation isn't rooted in criticism. It's rooted in evolution. You've transformed over the years. Your hair deserves the same courtesy. Style beyond 60 isn't about desperately chasing youth or attempting to recapture your 30s. It's about embracing the version of yourself that radiates confidence, feels current, and exists comfortably in your own presence. Your haircut should mirror the life you're living right now. Graceful, captivating, and unapologetically authentic. So whether you're scheduling a salon appointment tomorrow or simply reconsidering your options, remember this: it's never too late for renewal. You don't require dramatic transformation. You simply need intelligent refinement. If this video provided value, insight, or even just a few knowing smiles, show your appreciation with a like and subscribe to the channel. We have many more discussions heading your way about style, confidence, and living beautifully on your own terms. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Now step out there and ensure your hair reflects exactly how remarkable you truly are.